It's time to give the people what they want. It's Jalen and Jacoby.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, Doe?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN2 and ESPN Radio. What do?
We get the people what they want.
On Sunday night, James Harden gave the people of Houston what they want. He put up 56 points on the Utah Jazz, who have the 9th best defensive rating in the entire NBA. Jalen, this was a masterful performance that I've really enjoyed watching. Did James Harden just remind everybody that he was the MVP runner-up last year and should be more in the conversation this year?
Is this the same Jazz defense that gave up 60 to Kobe in his final game?
Different defense, completely different team.
Okay, Rudy Gobert's still the anchor.
Let's move
He's going
on.
to be a part of the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. They still have the same coach. Here's the deal. James Harden has been a terrific performer. One of the only guys that you will see that leads the league in total points and then leads the league in assists. How about being the only guy besides the Big O to score over 50 and have over 13 assists in the same game? And he's done that multiple times. Last year, he did it in a triple-double. So James Harden has been knocking on the MVP door. The problem is he's just coming second the last 2 years. A terrific performer, deserves not only to be in the MVP conversation, he's going to continue to be in what's considered the top 5 in the game for the way he's able to perform.
And it's the way he's doing it, too, and the team that's around him just seems so tailor-fit to him, because you watch the highlights of this game, it's like, all right, pick and roll. I'm going to go to the hole and score. Like, all right, we're going to take that away. Then I'm going to shoot over you with a 3. And then we're going to kind of double-team you and blitz you, and he'll just do like a little left-handed hook pass to Ryan Anderson, who's 35 feet from the basket, who just knocks it down. Like, the assists were just as highlight-worthy as the passes. The question remains this, though, is if you're CP3 and you're watching this and you see this dynamo on your team who plays the same position, how do you feel about it?
I'm a huge fan of the future Hall of Famer CP3. A big-time JRLA supporter, too. I appreciate the love. But I never felt that Houston was the best fit for him on paper. I've talked about this the entire time. Just like I talked about on this program, I didn't think Dwayne Wade's future will be in the starting lineup for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And you just detailed why. James Harden is best at this point of his career when he's the primary ball handler. He dribbled the ball over 600 times in the game you just described. The rest of the team dribbled less than 200, which means that Chris Paul would be a guy that would be trying to handle the ball. This is why he's an 18, 9, and a couple of steals guy throughout his Hall of Fame career. So based on that, he's not the catch-and-shoot, spot-up type of player that's going to touch the ball every 3 or 4 possessions like Ryan Anderson or Eric Gordon, and his game be as efficient. That's just not who he's tailored to be.
They said that he would be back in 4 weeks. Oh, I don't know, about 2.5 weeks ago. Like, what do you think's going on with CP3 there?
For those that follow this program, you know it's going to be broken news. They initially said 2 to 4 weeks. I came on wax and said it was going to be at least 6 weeks, and that's the prognosis I'm standing by.
So there was this play in the matchup between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Portland Trail Blazers that got a lot of attention. You see Carmelo Anthony drive past Vonleh, and then Nurkic comes over to help D. Carmelo Anthony absorbs the contact, makes the basket, a crazy bucket, and as he heads to the line to shoot his free throws, they review the play and give him a flagrant 2 and eject him from the basketball game. Jalen, when you watched this, what did you think?
Did not deserve to be ejected because he's the first person to be put in this position. But in the future, later this season and next season, this exact act will lead to players being ejected. And here's where I'm going. Whether it's being Jalen Rose like Kobe Bryant, you can't walk underneath a shooter because it's really dangerous. We saw Zaza Pachulia do it to Kawhi Leonard in last year's playoffs. Now it's a rule. Back in the day, when you get close to a jump shooter, Kobe Bryant was famous for doing this. You do the follow-through, and you smack the player with your forearm or your elbow. For those that haven't scored a lot of baskets, let me basically tell you what one of the all-time great scorers, Carmelo, did, who, by the way, actually made the shot. He could have went baseline and actually had a ferocious highlight reel dunk because he had that level of elevation and the left side of the hoop was actually open to him. In today's game, if you're going to get a flagrant 2 foul for elbowing somebody in the head that does not have the basketball, it's not going to be that much different in today's game after this when the player does have the ball. But since he was the first player to do it, I don't think he should have been ejected. He went towards Nurkic. He did not only create the contact, elbow him in the face, but he also reached out and he doubled down on it and showed the level of elevation where he still finished it, which made it a great move.
So let's be honest.
I understand where it came from. It should have been a flagrant 1, though, not a flagrant 2.
So let's be honest. You're someone who has played in the NBA for a very long time. When you have the ball, with the ball in your hands, do you sometimes aggressively create contact with intent to get the foul and also maybe put a little damage on your opponent?
I always had to do it because I was not a leaper. And if you look at somebody like James Harden, that's why he's able to get to the free throw line so many times. A lot of players who are able to do that, that's a level of patience. It's almost like when you see Le'Veon Bell allow his hole to open up before he actually hits it, or Ezekiel Elliott. It's the exact same thing when you're driving towards the basket. You see where the contact's coming from. You see where the help's coming from. I'm going to create the contact because getting the bucket just isn't enough. I want the bucket and the foul. But Nurkic was in front of the hoop, so therefore Carmelo extended, and it wasn't a normal basketball play.
Let's take a listen to the league's official explanation of this call.
The officials felt it was a little bit of an unnatural act, and there's a very high potential for injury. He brings his left elbow down and points it right into him, and makes contact right to the middle of his face, down by his teeth.
Like, I get it. Like what he said was factually true, but that doesn't seem like an ejectable offense. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a flagrant 1. You may have tried to do it. You may not have. You made the basket. It's not like he came down with the ball and tried to get just a foul. Like, he made the bucket. That should not be a flagrant 2.
I'm not rolling with the explanation, but also as a former player that performed in a different era, the same goes for you as a fan. This is where the game is going. Resting healthy players, ejecting players when they have the ball, when they elbow another player. It's no different than if you're standing on the sideline and you're being trapped and you swing your elbow and you hit the person. You can't now judge the intent because what if Nurkic would have got a bloody nose or knocked his teeth out? Then everybody would say, well, I understand why it's a flagrant. But since he made the shot and he got ejected, this is where the officials got it wrong. They went too far the other way. So here's what's going to happen. The league is going to rescind the flagrant 2. He's going to get a flagrant 1. And in the future, when these things start to happen, like I said, don't be surprised if it's called that way.
Remember where you heard it first here on Jalen Jacoby. And when we come back, something flew out of Ty Lue's mouth while he was yelling at the Cavs, and it's the best video I've seen in years. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, Ty Lue has had a lot of reasons to be barking at his Cavs on the sideline all season long. But let's take a look at him doing it against the Hawks. A ring flies out of his mouth while he is yelling at the team. Jalen, why is Ty Lue carrying a ring around in his mouth the way Birdie carried around a razor blade?
That's classic above the rim reference. Get your weight up, youngsters. Download that flick. All-time classic. With that being said, people are overreacting to this.
What?
It's a mint.
What? That's a mint? You think it's a lifesaver? Let's see it again.
Yes.
Let me see it again. That is something I have not heard yet. Lifesavers are a bit out of style in today's day and age. That could possibly be a lifesaver, which makes it a lot less disgusting than his wedding ring. Jalen, I cannot believe you just solved this. I cannot believe what. You got props. Carrot Top got props today. Wow.
It's a mint.
I was so excited about this being his wedding ring because I fidget with my ring all the time. I take it on and off. And I just like fidget and I fidget. I thought part of his oral fixation / fidgeting was to put his wedding ring in his mouth, which is absolutely disgusting. But it makes a lot of sense that it's a mint. That's just, you're old. No one eats Lifesavers anymore, Jay. It's Mentos time.
Well, let me tell you what you shouldn't be doing.
What's
Taking
that?
your ring on and off when we out having adult beverages.
I'm not that dude. I'm not the go to Vegas, take the ring off dude. That's not how I get down, and you know that. Next.
Love you, Joy.
The Atlanta Hawks. Oh, she doesn't watch. The Atlanta Hawks had one win. They had won one basketball game before going into Cleveland to face Ty Lue, his Mints, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Guess how many wins they have now, Jalen Rose?
I like what you did there. They have one.
They have 2 wins after going into Cleveland. And after another collapse, after another meeting, after another news story, Dwayne Wade had this to say about his team's starts.
It's no secret we're starting games off awful, terrible, and they got it going early, and the effort or the focus just wasn't there. Our first unit, we got to start off better. We got to, I want one time for the first unit to get on the second unit because we blew a lead. I'm waiting for that day to happen.
He's just sitting there laughing at the first unit, creating division between the two. Why is he doing this, Jalen Rose?
I'm really surprised he handled it this way. And not only did he mention it, he doubled down 2 more times on it. This is something, as the leader of the Miami Heat, he would have never done. We started to see traits like this happen in Chicago, and hindsight is always 20/20. This is one of those press conferences where you go into the locker room and you apologize to the squad. I guarantee you, behind the curtain, he makes sure, as one of the leaders of the squad, a future Hall of Famer, LeBron James's brother, that came there to run with the squad, who, by the way, not only is a part of a power couple, which we endorse on this show, he started off in the starting lineup.
He did.
So therefore, you can't be the guy that gets taken out of the starting lineup, and then you take shots at the starting lineup. And then you say, I'm waiting on the day where the starters can get on us for blowing the lead.
He sounds salty. Like he does this uninterrupted video where he pours out his soul saying, I just want to help. I just want to be a part of the solution. That doesn't seem like being part of the solution, Mr. Wade.
And let me just also put this on wax. That officially acknowledges that when he said he doesn't mind being a substitute for the Cleveland Cavaliers, that he wasn't being genuine.
Oh, yeah, he definitely minds. Also, Kevin Love is now saying that Dwayne Wade is right to criticize the starting unit. What do you think about that wrinkle, that Love is co-signing this behavior?
Because he's a part of the starting unit. And everybody understands when they're struggling and they need to do better. It's no different in football. The defense can't criticize the offense, who can't criticize the special teams and do it all publicly without bringing us into their locker room. It's the same dynamic.
Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were getting excited, getting fired up for their game against the Saints. Every team gets fired up in their own little way. And Jameis Winston, well, he did this.
Let's go. That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight? How many eat a W tonight?
That's a W. What is he doing? What was that?
First and foremost, hold on.
Wait,
hold on.
What's happening? Chandler, you okay?
Roger Goodell's on the phone. Jameis Winston. Oh, that's a failed test.
That's a failed test.
No question about it. So just send the FedEx to his house, take the money out of his check for a couple of reasons. You can tell he was on one, and look at how it ends. This is what I always talk about. The energy you are is the energy that you breathe. He started off the game with that, talking about let's eat a W. First off, nobody wants you to lick their fingers and give them daps. Second, he tried to do that, and the dude was looking at him like, I'm good. The next thing is, you're actually the quarterback. You're the leader. We don't want you throwing us the football after you've been licking your fingers. And lastly, that just don't even make sense what you're doing. That's number one.
Here's why it makes sense. Here's why it makes sense, Jalen. If you put two crab legs together, you get a W.
I see where you went there. I like that. It was okay. But here's the other reason why you can't do that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers was one of those squads that coming into the year, people wanted to get ahead of the bandwagon and pick them to do big things. Talk about their offseason acquisitions on both sides of the football. Well, they're not meeting expectations.
2-6.
And as a quarterback, he's not playing the way that we anticipated after the hard knocks and all of those things happened in the offseason.
Well,
so now, when you're not playing that well, it ends up the way it did at the end of the game, where you're frustrated, you're pointing at a player for another team. Mike Evans comes to have your back because he's frustrated also. Now all of a sudden he's suspended for a game. Jameis Winston is being shelved because of a shoulder injury for a few weeks. It's all bad for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if their hopes was to make the playoffs and meet expectations.
Well, it's all good for watchers of Jalen Jacoby if their hopes were next. We're going to do soft move or boss move. Trey wants to know, have either of you ever played Ultimate Frisbee? I'll answer this for both of us.
Preach.
Jalen's from Detroit. The answer is no. David Jacoby's from Western Massachusetts. So the answer is yes.
Not on the beach, I have.
So that's different. That's not Ultimate Frisbee.
If you would see who I was playing with, it was ultimate.
Jalen Rose, it is time for soft move or boss move. In Sunday's game against the Cowboys, the Chiefs' Travis Kelce scored a touchdown, and then they orchestrated this celebration, which I'm sure you've seen over and over by now. It is the Chiefs and Kelce running an imaginary potato sack race. Some people have celebrated this. It caused a debate in the Jalen Jacoby staff. So you settle it, Jalen. Potato sack race, soft move or boss move?
I was watching the Chiefs to see if they were going to be able to take care of the business against the Dallas Cowboys. A disappointing loss, first and foremost. I was paying attention, really cheering for the fact Kelce scored because he's on my fantasy team. Disappointed that Tony Romo had the audacity to take a shot at Deion Sanders, who I will not deal with any slander surrounding the all-time great's name. So with that being said, sack dance, soft move.
It's a soft move. It's a soft move. It's like you guys practiced all week on that celebration. That's what you came up with. I feel like I should be paid as a consultant for touchdown celebrations. I'm available for a fee. Next. Then the New York City Marathon happened over the weekend. It looked a little chilly out. A female American won for the first time in a long time. But of the 50,000 people that participated in the marathon, this was the most important person the entire time. This young man with a huge neon hat and a huge neon sign, the sign reading, "Nobody poop." Jalen, the nobody poop sign at the marathon. Soft move or boss move?
You have to answer this as the person that's on this program that's actually run a marathon.
It's not only a marathon experience that I have on this one, it's also parenting experience, which we both have. If this is my son's idea, no problem, go for it. But if it's my idea and I give him the son and he doesn't even know what it means or even care, then it is a soft move. But if it's his idea, it's a boss move. And very quickly, I want to ask you a question. First of all, say, I don't think marathoners actually poop. I've only run one, but I think that's something that people talk about that never really happens in real life. However, before the marathon, do you remember which color shorts I wore?
Black shorts.
Just in case. You never know. You know what I mean? There's no room to bring a spare pair with you. So I wore the black shorts just in case, something happened. Let's move on.
One of my favorite visuals of your amazing family was to see them hold a sign in your support while you were running the marathon and to answer whether or not your son holding the sign and knew what it says was a boss move. I'm rolling with you, it is, because I'm pretty sure Q know what pooping means.
Yes, he does. That's his main source of humor, to be honest with you. Next, Sean Combs has changed his name again. The man who has been Sean Combs, Puff Puff Daddy, Sean John, Puffy, Pity, Papa Diddy Pop, King Combs, and Swag is now calling himself Love, a.k.a. Brother Love, to reflect the new person he has become. Changing your name again, Soft Mover Boss Move.
They did a Forbes list of entertainers and/or rappers. Where did he rank on that list?
You know I don't like follow-up questions that require research, but I'm going to say top 5.
He was number 1, Boss Move. You call me whatever you want if I got the number 1 spot.
No, that's a soft move, and you cannot make up yourself a new nickname and then give an AKA to your new nickname. You know what I mean? That's too many layers. That's too many layers. No, you can't call me Love, AKA Brother Love. Like, which one is it? You just gave yourself one name. I don't need a surname to that one.
It doesn't sound like a nickname when he actually changed his name, which makes it his real name.
Finally, we don't have time to tell you the whole story, but essentially John Lynch called up Bill Belichick and asked for Bill Belichick to trade him Jimmy Garoppolo. He said no. So then John Lynch called back and said, will you trade me Tom Brady? You'll never believe this, but Bill Belichick said no. However, shooting your shot and trying to trade for Tom Brady, Soft Move or Boss Move?
That's a boss move.
That's what I'm saying. He's like, they trade away overvalued veterans. And at this point, like, you never know. Maybe he'll trade Tom Brady. They've done crazy things in the past.
You might as well throw it out
why
there.
Not? Thanks so much for watching today. We will be back tomorrow. Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN.